Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Monday night live stream. So thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. Let's just jump right into it because we got a lot of things to cover, not a lot of time to do it. So first of all, it's a very funny time frame. We just talked about yesterday about the current administration. They just struck a deal with the EU, the European Union, and things are looking pretty good. We thought that we would see some all-time highs. Things would be going off, just popping off left and right. And that is not what happened, except for the traditional markets. You know, traditional markets, the S&P 500 hit 6,400, its first time ever. And of course, it's doing all-time highs. We can take a look at the S&P over 1 month, 6 months, 1 year, 5 year, max. Things are looking great for the traditional markets. So what happened here with this deal and what's happening? Well, first of all, I'd like to thank the 64 people in the comment section who reminded me that the UK is not part of the European Union as of 2020 because of Brexit. I appreciate all of you and 64 of you to tell me that I was totally wrong. So thank you, everybody, for doing that. And then I have to tell you, I've never gotten so many comments except when I do a screw up in a video. Then I get a ton of comments. It's great. I should actually do more of that. But I had to ask the question today in X just to see how many people were pro-Trump or against Trump, because I was just had a curiosity. And I have to tell you, right down the middle, it's 50-50. It's kind of like Cardano. People either love it or absolutely despise it. And it was just interesting just to get do a litmus test of where people stand as far as the current administration, more specifically Donald Trump. And I just thought it was an interesting piece. Now, this is not a political channel, but unfortunately, as you may well have known, that politics and the actions of said politicians will greatly influence what is happening with the digital asset space. So unfortunately, we're gonna have to keep covering that and moving back and forth. So the EU tariff deal went off, and what did crypto do? Well, not as good as the S&P 500. Actually, we dropped out of a 4 trillion market cap. And just kind of take a step back and realize that. The market cap is down 6% as of today. We were over 4 trillion for a little bit of time. And I remember when I got in 2017, I remember when we just went over 1 trillion and everybody lost their mind. They couldn't believe that the entire market cap of digital asset space was over 1 trillion. And now Bitcoin is roughly $2.34 trillion. And that's where it goes. But as far as like our market today, even though we've got some great news across the board, not really too much happening as far as positive price action. Last 24 hours, Bitcoin, 118K. Ethereum also took a hit over 24 hours. The big losers would be XRP, although as far as XRP over the last year to 2, it's up greatly, of course. BNB's down, Solana's down 3%, Dogecoin 6.5%. And look at Tron. I found this interesting. Tron 1.3%. One of my plays, because I believe that there will be an integral part of stable coins. And if you know about Tether, you know what the amount of transaction space. Tron is roughly 53% and doing pretty well. Also, it was listed on NASDAQ. Cardano down 5%, Hyperliquid up some miraculous way. And then stuff like SWI. Yeah, that's how it's pronounced, SWI. And down almost 11%. Why is that? Well, there's a couple of things. First of all, before we get into the SWI situation, just know that this week's going to be pretty sticky. We've got a lot of macro events happening. Just of tomorrow, it looks like we're going to be looking at the job openings. The last quarter, previous was 7.8 million. Now 7.5 million is the forecast. So we'll see what's going on with job openings. If we are plummeting into a depression, like Robert Kiyosaki likes to say every couple of months, or if things are just going chopping sideways. Consumer confidence, wholesale inventories. But what I'm looking forward to is Wednesday, July 30th, and Thursday. We'll get ADP employment, pending home sales, and the GDP for Q2. Now, GDP was negative last quarter, so we'll see if the expectation of 2.3% hits. And if it does, I think that'd be interesting to see everybody talk about tariffs then, and how it has affected them or not. And then on Thursday, jobless claims, which is usual, cost index, but also this one, PCE year over year and core PCE. So we'll see if inflation is going up, if Jerome Powell and the Fed are totally accurate and tariffs are going to bring this on. But of course, even if we go to this point and, tariffs August 1st would be the first day everything kind of goes into effect. I know there's gonna be some laggards there. I understand that. Of course, if inflation goes up, they're going to say, see, tariffs. And if it stays stagnant, they'll be like, tariffs, it's not going to happen until, 2 months, 4 months, 6 months, 10 months, 3 years from now. So we'll see what happens, but it all comes down to this. The market is irrational, and they'll use any excuse to move themselves up or down. Anyhow, let me just think about that in the comments section. But getting onto this SWE part, I have to remind everybody, there's these things called token unlocks. There's a great website, tokenomist.ai. And if you look that up, every week it gives you a breakdown of which different projects are going to dump on you. Just kidding, but not really. SWE is going to put into the wild another 1.3% of its circulating supply into the market as it has unlocks. Also, Jupiter, the big decentralized exchange on Solana, is putting in 1.8%, and also ENA 0.6%. And you can take a look at things that are coming up as far as token unlocks, how much that is. Now, me personally, we've talked about this SWE. Total unlocked is 3.4 billion. Max supply is 10 billion. So people say, see, there you go, SWE's a piece of trash. Well, if you look at the scale and how long it takes, you're looking at 2035. So again, if you'd like to do your own research, this is a great website to do it, and you can verify what I just said wasn't complete trash and go from there. So that would be tokenomist.ai. We'll try to link that in the description. And then on to some good news, which I think this is almost like a repeat. Does anybody remember this as well? PayPal is going to let this just was today, right? July 28th, 2025, yeah. PayPal to let US merchants accept payment in more than 100 cryptocurrencies. You might be saying to yourself, Rob, well, didn't they already do this? And you're right, they did. But it was a limited amount. I think it was Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, and one other one. Correct me in the comment section. But it was mostly to buy, sell, and hold. Now, as far as like payments, now they're going to allow more than 100 cryptocurrencies for payments cross-border. And this is for United States citizens, so they can go and pay for things in Honduras with their crypto. I think this is not a big deal like some people are making this out to be, because I don't know too many people who are using their crypto for payments. I'm sorry, I said it. I just don't know. Stable coins, yes. I can definitely see it that different countries will be using their stable coins because their fiat is trash and going to zero and it's on fire. I get that. But I wonder how many people are paying for things online. I'm just asking the question. But this is the thing. So everybody get happy. FinTech giant PayPal launches a new payment option on Monday. Will let smaller U.S. merchants accept more than 100 cryptocurrencies, including Bitcoin, Ethereum. And good news, you can use the Trump meme coin and even fart coin to pay for a new sofa from Bangladesh if you'd like to. So that's great. And not to be too facetious, but it is a pretty good deal because look at this. PayPal will charge merchants a promotional fee of 0.99% on transactions for the first year, then 1.5%. If I'm a merchant, I'm all about that because usually PayPal is 2.99% plus 30 cents per transaction fee. So if you're paying 3% in transaction fees, that's not great. So you can use it like this way. The only thing that I question is if you're using Bitcoin, Ethereum, and people are paying, I don't know why they would do this. If you're using Ethereum and the gas fee is exorbitant, especially as we start to hit into the bull market and really get going, why would you use Ethereum to do payments when it's like ridiculously priced? And because you have to pay for the gas fees. Maybe I'm missing something. And then, of course, there's a lot of different things to think about. But I looked at this and people were, really excited. And I was kind of excited. I'm like, is this really a big deal? Correct me in the comments and tell me why this is just the most awesome thing of all time. But let's finish up with Atrium. And again, like I said in the beginning, there's two versions of Trump: people who hate him and people who love him. And Cardano's kind of the same way. Unfortunately, Cardano's gotten a little bit of a bad rap. Nobody's building on it, nobody's doing anything. And it's a ghost chain. Well, now it's not. This is from a friend of the show, Peyton, or Big Pay. Has his own YouTube channel and has been a big Cardano proponent for quite some time. And he is essentially, this is his baby. And this is where you're going to be able to go to find out everything you want to know about Cardano, what things are being built, what is the ecosystem, how things work, and a different education site, and a place for a social presence that you can collect across a wide variety of sites, including Atrium itself. So without further ado, I'm going to play this video. This was recorded earlier today. And listen to Peyton. This is about 5 minutes or so, and he's going to tell you exactly what Atrium is. Before anybody asks that question, which I guess so, how much did Peyton pay me? Peyton paid me 10 Bitcoin for this interview. And I have to say, it's nice to be a millionaire finally. This is awesome. So Peyton, thanks for paying me so much Bitcoin. No, I'm sorry, it was all, I'm just kidding. You didn't pay me a dime. Watch this video.
Like a platform that kind of handholds people on their way into crypto. And so Atrium really serves different purposes for different people. First and foremost, I would say it's an onboarding tool. We've got 26 motion graphic videos that just teach people about what blockchain is. What's a hardware wallet? How do I buy crypto on an exchange? So, once you get in here, you see the help, I'm new here. And then once you click that, you can see I'm new to crypto, I'm new to Cardano, or I'm new to Atrium. Once you click that, we've made these real quick 3 to 4 minute videos that are motion graphic based, that show you, okay, what is Bitcoin? Where did Cardano come from? What's a hardware wallet? All the basics. And all of that actually lives inside this dashboard. So you can log into it with different, wallets on Cardano. And then the education actually lives, within this dashboard here. You can see your native assets, the price, who you're staking to. And if you don't know what, NFTs are, you can watch a little video. If you don't know what, how your assets work, the video lives within there. We have wallet features in here as well. So you can send and receive, to ADA handles, to profiles. You can look at some of your different assets. And where Atrium really starts to set itself apart on top of being this pretty onboarding tool is we've actually built a couple of Cardano-based smart contracts that have never been seen before. The one that we launched on Tuesday is this Simplified aspect. You can send and receive on it like an ADA handle, so you could receive tokens, receiving from people sending it. But we've tried to kind of gamify this. So we come in here, we can mint a profile. We'll do let me think of a random name. We'll do Puerto Rico, for example.
Puerto Rico.
And so we have this smart contract that we've built, we've developed. We're also going to open source it so other people can kind of learn from it. But what it verifies is that no two names can ever be minted twice. So imagine like an ENS style, like ETH, address. Yeah. It's like an on-chain smart contract that's verifying that can't be minted. You can choose a title. We'll go with professional. You can do a description. And then we have these default avatars. Go with that one. And then these are actually unlockable. And I'll show you our little leveling system that we have here. So it's building the Cardano transaction. It's interacting with the smart contract. It's minting Puerto Rico. I'm going to go ahead and sign this. We have cool little animations for all of the different types of transactions on our platform as well.
Okay.
So there. So then now you're going to see this box pop up, and then we're trying to gamify it. You'll see that it's like,
ooh, nice.
So now that we have this, we can click go to profile, but I'm going to, instead of looking at that one, we'll look at mine because I've already leveled it up quite a bit. So we're trying to gamify, education and then on-chain action on Cardano. So we've actually hooked up Discord and Twitter. Okay. So as you connect your different social accounts, you level up this NFT, and then you unlock different backgrounds, different profile pictures, different titles, and it's essentially gamifying Twitter engagement, social engagement, etc. And then, our second smart contract, so we're going to be launching this on the 13th. And this one's fairly unique, and it kind of starts to piece the whole SocialFi ecosystem together. So on Cardano, you have stake pool operators.
Yep.
And so we built a smart contract that allows you to delegate to 50 different single stake pool operators at the same time. And then you earn ADA and ATMA tokens for supporting Cardano's decentralization. So this is the way to earn the token that's going to be launching with the site. We didn't do a private sale. There's no VCs on the token. It's going to be a fair launch. And the way that you earn it is by delegating to these 50 Cardano stake pool operators at the same time. So you deposit in there, it delegates your ADA across all of them. You get ADA, and then you get the ATMA token as well, for supporting all of these different small businesses. This is the first basket. There's going to be more in the future with different SPOs, different tokens, and this is, coming on the 13th. We have the dashboard live now, the education portal live now, and then this, the profile minting, and this is kind of the MVP. But what we're going to have, about 2.5 months from now, we're going to launch this feature that allows you to take that ATMA token and then delegate it to the actual profiles that exist within Atrium, just like their SPOs. So if you're a content creator, you can say, hey, take your ATMA tokens on Atrium that you earned from the diffusion staking basket, stake them to me, and then you start earning rewards from gathering the delegation. So for being staked 2, you get more ATMA tokens. For staking, you also get more ATMA tokens. And the revenue from these smart contracts is actually going to a registered DAO entity that we set up in the Marshall Islands that has an operating agreement. And this DAO is getting revenue from these smart contracts. And what I would like to see in the future is that the ADA revenue is also being given to these stakers here, right? So it's like for growing the platform, for onboarding new users, for gathering delegation, you're actually getting a small piece of the revenue, the ADA revenue that the platform is earning, for contributing to it. So it's not another DEX, it's not another lending platform. It's kind of a unique idea, and that we've come up with. And there's a lot of places that we'd like to go with it. We're calling this delegation strategy proof of influence. So we're going to add in like profiles that you can follow to get notifications in the dashboard here, and actual profiles where you can link out to your YouTube, your Twitter, almost like a followable link tree that you can send notifications to. So it's been like a labor of love, by our team for a while. And I remember.
Here's a couple questions though before I forget. So it seems to me like this is like social. It's like SocialFi, but then there's a lot of undercurrents of staking, and like you talked about it, it was proof of influence, which is pretty. That's a pretty cool concept. But also what I see it as is like a place for, if you believe in Cardano, this is like the one place to be. Because you can do this on other social platforms, but then you always get attacked by this, and is a ghost chain, and then there's this going on, and the TPS, and you're like, God damn, this sucks. But if you had someplace like this, and people could like walk you through it in like a normal manner instead of everybody shouting at each other, I think it'd be like just a better place to learn. Is that kind of like what we're going here?
Yeah, that's like really, I feel like, people should be able to learn about Cardano or be a part of the Cardano community without like having to see Benjamin Netanyahu. That's my hope, anyways,
No, it's a go, but that's just it. Like we have these, we have these attention spans, and they're becoming more and more scarce and finite, especially as we get bombarded with everything. So it's hard to really, like people say, like the kids say, you got to lock in. It's very hard to lock in when you got 30 things getting thrown at you all over the place in these different social media places. It'd be great just to go to one place to learn something and not have to hunt and peck and click on everything to find out what the hell you're learning about. I think that'd be pretty cool, especially with those videos that are built in. That's a nice touch.
Yeah, and that's kind of where the staking kind of starts to stick out too, is because the virality within Atrium comes from how much delegation that you have, like how much of your community is pushing you higher in the platform by staking the token. So I see it also becoming this like ecosystem map of like you get on there, you say what are the dexes on Cardano? What are the lending platforms? What are the stable coins? What are the content creators?
Yeah, so what we'll do is we'll catch up with Peyton as things start to roll out, but that was just something for you to, if you're into Cardano, or maybe if you are curious, Cardano curious, you can check that out. There's a link in the description, and that is it for tonight. So look, like today's video, thumbs up, subscribe, all that great stuff. Thanks for hanging out with me at this late on a Monday night. Now, if you want to stick around, we'll do a little Q&A. I'll answer all your questions, and then we'll go from there. And Charlie says, I want no part of this. And this is the great thing about freedom of choice. Yes, some people just, it's not their thing. I get it. Mary says, I'm reminded how one person spoke about how it was going to come down to communities. I get it now. That's really what it is. You're just tokenizing communities, essentially. But on the back end, you are offering a service, which is education, and to be able to move things around cross sites and stuff like that. So yeah, we'll see how that work out. Drone says, why the Marshall Islands? That's in the middle of nowhere. Exactly. That's why. Let's see. Cardano curious. Nice. I just made that up. Let's see. Harness Digital Intelligence and Harness Digital Capital by Michael Saylor. I can see that. Let's see. Tyler says, according to Grok, after the last SWE token unlock, price dropped 50%. I don't think that's right. Will there be enough buyers this time to prevent this major price drop? I don't know. We'll find out. And since I own some of that, that'd be interesting to see. Hello, Tommy. Love the answer. Yes, try to do those things. And I think that's it. I think I did my job reasonably well because no one has any questions. Although Jerry said like this, as far as like PayPal payments and crypto, I would pay with Bonk. Have you ever used Bonk? It's actually quite fast. It's built on Solana, so everything's super fast on that chain anyhow. LAX says, does anybody like using ETH? I don't know anybody who loves it, that's for sure. And I'm pretty sure that people don't like bridging to other different layers and how that works out. And of course, all the different mess ups and errors on, not on Ethereum itself. It's not the Ethereum main chain, the settlement layer. It is unfortunately the decentralized exchanges and the bridges and the different products that are built on top of Ethereum that have those mistakes and people lose a lot of money. I don't know why it's like that. Probably because everybody, or a lot of people, a lot of projects are built on Ethereum. Jesse says, hey, Rob, will you jump in the pool at 150K? I would try. It's very difficult to jump into a green screen, but I will give it my best shot. 120K. 10 billion in liquidity above 12K. When squeeze? Good question. P. Kelly, thank you for being my marketer. Stake your Cardano with D-News and D-News too. If you don't know what we're talking about, we are a stake pool operator for Cardano. We have 2 pools, which are not saturated. So roughly it's a little bit less than 1 full pool. And if you don't know how to do it, it's no problem. I got a link in the description for a website, which is 100% free. Dan teaches crypto, and I'll show you how to do it. Very simple, reasonable APY. Not a bad thing to do. Let's see. Shaolin says, that's a good question. Rob, what are your thoughts on the Ledger Recovery Key? It's like a backup card for your Ledger, similar to Tangem. I thought it was pretty cool. So, Ledger, one thing I don't like is your seed phrase that you generate, or your mnemonic phrase. You write that down on a piece of paper. Maybe something happens to it. You smudge, you lose, you have a fire, everything's gone, right? People say, well, that's just easy. Just put it in 2 different places. You put it in 2 different places, right? Then over time, something happens to the paper, doesn't work. I don't know. It gets smudged again. I just didn't like the whole process. I'm like, you're telling me that I'm going to put $10 million and essentially it's going to be on this one piece of paper? It just made no sense. That's why I talk about diversification of storage. And there's a link in the description for my crypto critical videos. And one of those is diversification of cold storage devices. I'm getting to the answer. Hold on. So with those, I use iTRUST, which is a custody service. I say why many times. I also use Ledger, but multiple ledgers. And I also use tangems, multiple tangems. So this this backup is essentially, it's like a card like this. And you can just hold it up to your ledger, and that's your mnemonic phrase or your seed phrase. So you don't have to write it down on a piece of paper. It's in this apparently a very tough, maybe indestructible type of card that you just put it there, and that's it. And then you have your seed phrase. And it sounds great. It sounds easy, but I'm thinking to myself, that's the same thing as a ledger does, essentially. So when you get a ledger, you have 3 cards, right? And there's 2 options. You can generate a seed phrase or a mnemonic phrase, which I don't do. I don't want a mnemonic phrase hanging around. I don't want it because let's say you've got some family members that are shady. I don't know if you have those people. Or let's say that you have some people working in the house and they come in and out and they're like, hey, this is a nice booklet. Oh, look at this. And they somehow know what crypto is. I know, just stick with me. So you either lose it, goes in the fire, something like that. But with Ledger, you have these cards. So essentially that's like this one. And I got 2 other cards that I can use to transfer funds around in crypto. Now I keep 1 card, let's say here. And of course I've got multiple cold storage devices of TANGEM. And I've got the other 2 cards somewhere else, wherever that is. And if something happens to me, somebody breaks in, tries a wrench attack, they're going to get me at some point, I think. And then I'm just like, well, you can take as much as you can, but there's one place you're not going to get it. You're not going to get it out of iTRUST. Because to do that, you have to move it. You can't take the crypto. It has to be in cash. And the cash that has to come out, it's going to have to go to somebody's bank. Now, someone would say, well, Rob, that's very easy. All they're going to have to do is just put you at gunpoint. And they have to march you to the bank and have you withdraw everything as they keep your family hostage. Then you take all that money and then you give it to them. Wait, so there's another thing here, is that if you go into the bank and you have over $10,000, they're not going to have it. So for them to do all these things and to go through these steps, because I know I'm going to get this in the comment section. I just want to stave this off before. Actually, I shouldn't even say anything. I should just let everybody comment and just get a ton of comments and a ton of views. So I'll just leave it like that. But yeah, it's very difficult if you do it in cash. And then of course, how many ledgers do I got? Well, if you watch the show and you find me, I'm just letting you know, live in Texas. And it's an open carry place and have fun. That's all I have to say about that. Anyhow, let's go to the next question. Getting aggravated tonight. What's your take on NFTs these days? They're all trash. Is D-News your actual stake pool? Yes. It's me and a couple of guys that have done a fantastic job. If I do say so myself, not the most fantastic of all time, like say Trump would say, but we did pretty good. And yeah, we've had no downtime, uptime 99.99% or whatever it is. And we've been doing this for 3 years without a problem. Let's see. Did you know, sounds always good, that there are only around 10 entities that run full archival nodes of Solana that are 400 terabytes big? Solana is centralized like crazy. Don't tell that to people who own Solana, because they will rebuke that and say, no, there's this and this and this and this. I don't even want to get into the conversation with it anymore. I'm just like, you know what? Here's what I'll say about all altcoins. I hope they do great, and I hope they pump, and I hope they have some kind of utility so I can dump every single one of them on everybody else that's coming in. I'm honest. Do you think Ben's right with this thesis of alts hitting the bottom before true alt season? Looks like he might be playing out. Ben's been right for quite some time, so I wouldn't put it past him. I use a Ledger Nano X, no issue, that's great. Just encrypt it and write it everywhere. Yeah, you could do that. Or just switch things around, the ones that you know. Who carries a son of 50 cal? The days. Crypto feels so safe. Crypto is a dumpster fire. Crypto investing is like, when you make it, you should really pat yourself on the back, because you were able to get through all the scammers. You're able to get through all the dangers. You're able to get through fighting off your family, friends, and loved ones who called you a complete moron for throwing sand into the ocean and investing into internet nerd money that you just somehow happen to make it into millions upon millions of dollars. So if you make it through this and you're able to not round trip your bags or get wrench attacked or get hacked or something happens to you, congratulations. You're part of the 0.01%. Have guns and pepper spray. And rob his farm military. This is also true. Good times. Yeah, I was so spicy. We only have so much to give. That's true. Be careful for the givers. The people, there's givers and takers of the world. And the givers, they keep giving too much. Watch out for the takers because they are a bottomless pit of takers as well. Kind of a negative downer, Rob. Let's see. Such a wordsmith. Very true. And let's just leave it here for the algo. Thorium, thank you. Thorium always does that, and Kranskinator. A lot of people do that. They comment for the algo, and I appreciate every one of you. But that's it for tonight. Before I go down to an even darker section, let's just say this was a good video and leave it at that. That's it for tonight. If you like today's video, thumbs up, subscribe, all that great stuff. And I will see you guys on the next one. Have a great rest of your night.